The haunting obsession of James Thornton. Have you ever wondered how far someone's obsession can go? How a seemingly innocent friendship can spiral into a relentless nightmare? Today, we're delving into the eerie and unsettling story of James Thornton, whose fixation with his college classmate, Lisa Roberts, turned her life into a living horror story. James and Lisa met during their freshman year at university. Initially, James appeared to be just another friendly classmate. They shared a few laughs, exchanged notes, and even studied together a few times. But beneath James's friendly exterior lay a darker, more sinister obsession. He became fixated on Lisa, convinced that they were destined to be together. This belief would drive him to unimaginable lengths to insert himself into every aspect of her life. Lisa started noticing James everywhere she went. He would be waiting outside her dorm room, sitting in the back of her lectures, and even showing up at the library when she was studying. At first, she thought it was just a coincidence. But when James began sending her dozens of messages each day, ranging from poetic love declarations to frantic pleas for attention, Lisa realized something was seriously wrong. The situation escalated when Lisa began receiving anonymous gifts, flowers, chocolates, and handwritten letters, all signed with cryptic messages like, "Forever yours," and "We'll be together soon." Lisa's friends urged her to report him, but she was hesitant, thinking he might just be misunderstood. That was until the night James's obsession took a terrifying turn. One evening, after a long day of classes, Lisa returned to her dorm to find her door slightly ajar. Her heart raced as she pushed it open, revealing a scene that would haunt her forever. James was sitting on her bed, surrounded by photographs of her, candid shots taken without her knowledge, covering every inch of the walls. He looked up at her with a twisted smile, as if he had been waiting for this moment. "I've been waiting for you, Lisa," he whispered. Lisa screamed and ran out of the room, her mind racing with fear and confusion. She called campus security, who arrived and apprehended James. They found that he had not only broken into her room but had also been secretly following her for months, documenting her every move. His room in the dormitory was filled with journals detailing his obsession with Lisa, filled with plans to make her see that they were meant to be together. James was expelled from the university and charged with stalking and breaking and entering. He was sentenced to prison, but the damage was already done. Lisa transferred to a different university, hoping to escape the memories of James's relentless pursuit. She installed security cameras in her new home, changed her phone number, and even altered her daily routines to avoid any chance of being followed again. But the psychological scars remained. Lisa struggled with anxiety and paranoia, constantly looking over her shoulder and fearing that James might somehow find her again. The experience left her distrustful of new acquaintances, always questioning their motives and fearing that another James might be lurking around the corner. This haunting story of James Thornton serves as a chilling reminder of how obsession can drive someone to terrifying extremes, and how the victims of such stalking can be left with lifelong scars. It's a stark warning that sometimes the real monsters are those who hide in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. The sinister pursuit of Derek Jacobson. Have you ever felt like someone was always watching you? Like every move you made was being scrutinized by unseen eyes? Today, we unravel the sinister story of Derek Jacobson, whose obsession with his neighbor, Sarah Miller, turned her life into a living nightmare. Derek Jacobson was the kind of neighbor who initially seemed helpful. When Sarah moved into her new apartment, he was there, offering to help carry her boxes and fix any minor issues in her unit. At first, Sarah appreciated his kindness. But soon, Derek's behavior began to cross boundaries that should never be crossed. It started with small, seemingly innocent gestures. Derek would leave notes on her door, asking if she needed anything. But the notes quickly turned into an overwhelming barrage of messages. Derek would text her constantly, always wanting to know where she was and what she was doing. Sarah felt suffocated but didn't know how to confront him without escalating the situation. One day, Sarah noticed something strange. Derek had installed a camera in the hallway outside their apartments. When she asked him about it, he claimed it was for security purposes. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the camera was aimed at her door more often than not. She started noticing Derek watching her through the peephole in his door whenever she left or entered her apartment. The breaking point came one evening when Sarah returned home to find her apartment had been broken into. Nothing was stolen, but her bed was covered in rose petals, and a note was left on her pillow: "We belong together." Terrified, Sarah called the police. During their investigation, they discovered that Derek had duplicated her keys and had been entering her apartment regularly while she was out. Derek was arrested and charged with stalking, illegal surveillance, and breaking and entering. The police found notebooks in his apartment filled with detailed accounts of Sarah's daily routines, her friends' names, and even her family members' addresses. Derek's obsession had driven him to invade every aspect of Sarah's life, turning her home into a prison of fear. Even after Derek was sentenced to prison, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She installed multiple security systems in her new apartment, moved to a different city, and changed her job. But the psychological impact of Derek's stalking was profound. Sarah lived with constant anxiety, always fearing that someone else might be watching her, waiting to invade her life just as Derek had done. This story of Derek Jacobson is a chilling reminder of how quickly a seemingly harmless neighbor can turn into a sinister stalker, leaving their victims to live in perpetual fear. The terrifying fixation of Anthony Gray. Imagine someone becoming so obsessed with you that they turn your life upside down, leaving you constantly looking over your shoulder. This is the terrifying reality of Emma Johnson, who found herself the object of Anthony Gray's relentless fixation. Emma and Anthony had attended the same university, but they barely knew each other. Anthony, however, became fixated on Emma after a brief conversation in a study group. What started as a harmless crush soon turned into a nightmare. Anthony sent Emma dozens of messages daily, filled with compliments and desperate pleas for attention. When Emma began to ignore his messages, Anthony's obsession only intensified. He started showing up everywhere Emma went: her classes, her favorite coffee shop, even her workplace. Emma noticed him loitering around her apartment building, often for hours at a time. The situation escalated when Emma received an anonymous package containing a lock of Anthony's hair and a scrapbook filled with photos of her taken without her knowledge. Terrified, Emma applied for a restraining order, which Anthony violated repeatedly. The breaking point came when Anthony broke into Emma's apartment. She came home to find a note on her bed that read, "We'll be together forever." Anthony was arrested and charged with stalking and breaking and entering. He was sentenced to prison, but the experience left Emma deeply traumatized. She moved to a different city and changed her identity, constantly living in fear that he might find her again. Emma's story is a haunting reminder of how an obsession can turn someone's life into a relentless nightmare. The unrelenting stalker, Tom Harris. Tom Harris's fixation on Anna Walters began after a brief interaction at a mutual friend's party. Tom became infatuated with Anna, and what started as harmless attention quickly morphed into a relentless pursuit that turned Anna's life into a nightmare. Tom sent Anna constant messages and called her multiple times a day. Initially, Anna tried to be polite, thinking he might just be lonely. But Tom's behavior soon became overbearing and frightening. He would wait outside Anna's apartment building for hours, follow her to work, and even show up at places she frequented, like her gym and favorite cafe. Anna blocked him on social media and changed her phone number, but Tom always found new ways to contact her. One night, Anna found Tom hiding in her apartment. He had broken in while she was out, and when she confronted him, he claimed they were meant to be together. Anna managed to escape and called the police, who arrested Tom for breaking and entering and harassment. Tom was sentenced to jail, but Anna remained fearful for her safety. She installed security cameras, changed her locks, and even adopted a large dog for protection. The psychological impact of Tom's stalking was profound, leaving Anna constantly on edge and distrustful of strangers. Tom's relentless pursuit serves as a chilling reminder of how an obsession can drive someone to terrifying extremes, and how the victims are left with lasting fear. The nightmarish pursuit of Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips couldn't accept that his ex-girlfriend, Claire Stevens, had moved on. After their breakup, Mark turned into a relentless stalker, sending Claire dozens of texts and emails daily, begging for another chance and then threatening her when she didn't respond. Mark's behavior escalated to physical stalking. He followed Claire to her workplace, her gym, and even her friends' houses. Claire noticed her car being tampered with multiple times, and one day, she found a GPS tracker hidden under the chassis. She reported Mark to the police, who issued a restraining order. Despite the restraining order, Mark's obsession didn't wane. He broke into Claire's apartment and left disturbing messages written on her mirrors with lipstick. He also vandalized her property, slashing her tires and breaking windows. The fear and stress took a significant toll on Claire's mental health. Eventually, Mark was arrested for violating the restraining order and was sentenced to prison. Claire had to undergo therapy to deal with the trauma and moved to a new location, changing her job and cutting off contact with many people to avoid being found again. The constant fear of Mark's return left Claire with severe anxiety and trust issues. The chilling case of Michael Turner. Michael Turner's obsession with his co-worker, Jessica Lee, started as a harmless crush but quickly turned into a terrifying ordeal. Michael and Jessica worked in the same office, and Michael often found excuses to talk to her and spend time near her desk. Jessica noticed Michael's attention but didn't think much of it until he began sending her increasingly personal and intrusive messages. Michael started following her after work, showing up at places she frequented, and even leaving gifts on her doorstep. Jessica felt uncomfortable but tried to handle the situation herself, hoping Michael would get the hint. One night, Jessica returned home to find Michael waiting for her outside her apartment. He was holding a bouquet of flowers and a letter detailing his undying love for her. When Jessica tried to walk past him, Michael grabbed her arm and insisted they talk. Jessica managed to break free and ran inside, locking the door behind her. She called the police, who arrived and arrested Michael for harassment and trespassing. Michael was given a restraining order, but his obsession didn't stop. He continued to send Jessica messages and follow her, violating the restraining order multiple times. Eventually, he was sentenced to prison for stalking and harassment. Jessica moved to a new city and changed jobs, but the experience left her with lasting anxiety and a constant fear of being watched. These stories of real-life stalkers highlight the terrifying impact of obsessive behavior and the lasting scars it can leave on the victims. The fear, anxiety, and trust issues that result from such experiences serve as a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking in plain sight. The insidious obsession of Eric Walker. Have you ever felt that someone was watching your every move? For Rachel Adams, this unsettling feeling became her horrifying reality when her high school acquaintance, Eric Walker, turned his friendly interest into a dark obsession. Rachel and Eric had been casual friends in high school. They lost touch after graduation, but Eric's feelings for Rachel only grew stronger over time. Years later, Rachel started receiving anonymous messages on social media, filled with details about her daily life that only someone watching her closely could know. She initially dismissed them as pranks, but the messages became increasingly frequent and disturbing. One evening, Rachel returned home to find a bouquet of roses on her doorstep with a note that read, "I'm always with you." She was shaken but still unsure who could be behind it. It wasn't until she received a photo of herself taken through her bedroom window that she realized the severity of the situation. Eric's obsession had driven him to follow her, invading her privacy and making her feel constantly vulnerable. Rachel reported the stalking to the police, who identified Eric as the sender of the messages and the stalker. He had been living in a van parked near her apartment, using binoculars and a camera to spy on her. Eric was arrested and charged with stalking and harassment. The psychological impact on Rachel was profound. She moved to a new city, changed her phone number, and rarely posted on social media. The constant fear and anxiety left her feeling unsafe in her own home, a reminder of how a seemingly harmless connection can turn into a nightmare. The terrifying obsession of Hannah Myers. Have you ever felt like someone was always watching you, lurking in the shadows of your everyday life? For Mark Bennett, this fear became his horrifying reality when a seemingly innocent friendship with Hannah Myers turned into a chilling obsession. Mark and Hannah met through mutual friends at a social gathering. They quickly became friends, often hanging out in group settings. Hannah seemed friendly and approachable, and Mark appreciated her company. However, things took a disturbing turn when Hannah's interest in Mark escalated beyond normal friendship boundaries. Hannah began texting Mark constantly, often late at night, asking about his whereabouts and who he was with. Mark initially brushed it off as harmless curiosity, but her messages became increasingly intrusive and demanding. She started showing up at places Mark frequented, such as his gym and favorite coffee shop, always with a seemingly innocent excuse for being there. One night, Mark returned home to find Hannah waiting for him outside his apartment. She claimed she was in the neighborhood and decided to drop by. Mark was unsettled but didn't want to be rude, so he invited her in for a brief chat. Hannah's behavior became more unsettling as she began questioning Mark about his personal life and relationships. Over time, Hannah's obsession grew more intense. She hacked into Mark's social media accounts, sending messages to his friends and family, pretending to be him. She even started leaving gifts and notes on his car, expressing her undying love for him. Mark's discomfort turned into fear when he realized Hannah was monitoring his every move. Mark confronted Hannah, asking her to stop contacting him and to respect his privacy. However, Hannah's response was anything but reassuring. She threatened to harm herself if Mark didn't reciprocate her feelings, leaving him feeling trapped and responsible for her well-being. The situation escalated when Mark discovered Hannah had broken into his apartment, leaving behind a journal detailing her obsession with him. She had written about her plans to make Mark fall in love with her, describing in disturbing detail how she watched him and tracked his daily routine. Mark was horrified and immediately contacted the police. Hannah was arrested and charged with stalking and breaking and entering. Despite a restraining order, Mark continued to live in fear of her return. The psychological impact of Hannah's obsession left him with severe anxiety and a constant sense of vulnerability. He moved to a new city, changed his phone number, and took precautions to protect his privacy. The terrifying obsession of Hannah Myers serves as a chilling reminder that stalking can happen to anyone, regardless of gender. Mark's experience highlights the importance of recognizing the signs of obsessive behavior and taking action to protect oneself. The scars left by such experiences can run deep, affecting every aspect of a person's life and sense of security. As we wrap up these spine-chilling stories of obsession and fear, we're left with a haunting question: how well do we truly know the people around us? The line between admiration and obsession can be perilously thin, and the consequences can be terrifying. Remember, if you ever feel unsafe or suspect you're being stalked, don't hesitate to seek help. Your safety and peace of mind are paramount. If you found these stories as gripping as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an update on our latest content. Share your thoughts and any experiences you might have in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories and theories. Thank you for watching, and until next time,